We are back here with Wes Mallette here cruising with the Highlanders in this beautiful Jeep Cherokee. How cool is this car?
This thing is awesome. These have always been great cars, great Jeeps, but this SUV, like with all the new technology in it and everything, the ride is smooth, it's easy, it's comfortable, you know.
You see, I had a Jeep, a big Jeep, one of those kind you drive around the hills in a Wrangler,
Yeah.
and that thing used to bounce around. This thing is smooth as can be.
Yeah, it's a great ride.
So Wes, what was your first car you ever had?
Oh man, so I'm going back a bunch of years, in the way back machine. So the very first car I had, I bought it right out of college. I had a Saturn.
Oh, that was my first car.
I had a Saturn. And I remember I got it because I'm like captain of the safety patrol, right? I'm like, this is a safe car. Everything they're saying is a safe car. And it was. I ended up getting in a couple accidents. I didn't cause the accidents. I got hit, right?
But you were safe.
But I was safe, you know, and then I kept the safety thing going. I got a Volvo later in life after I had kids. And man, you know, and then I've had different cars throughout.
Now, let's talk about, you know, what brought you to be the athletic director at UC Riverside?
So, long and short, you know, throughout my career, I spent the first 15 years of my career in corporate, right, on the entertainment side primarily, at BET, at MTV. Spent a couple years with Victoria's Secret and Bath & Body Works parent company, Limited Brands. And then about halfway through, about 15 years in, I made a decision. I wanted to go back into athletics. And I really wanted to be at the college athletics side because you can truly make an impact on the lives of young people.
Yes.
Right? And having been a student athlete myself at James Madison, my kids are student athletes now, I just thought about the experience that I had and how integral it was to launching me into life in terms of how I approach everything I do. I always say you will learn everything you need to know about life and how to manage life through sport. You have the highest of the highs, the lowest of the lows. You learn how to deal with adversity, how to manage through it, and you learn how to pick yourself back up. But most importantly, you learn all the soft skills, all the intangible stuff: leadership, dedication, commitment, determination, resolve. You name it. You're going to learn through sport. So about 6 years ago now, I was in the Bay Area. I'd been at Cal and the Pac-12, and then I got a call about Senior Associate AD for External Relations here. And I ended up talking to Tamika Smith-Jones, our previous AD, who left here to go to Kennesaw State in Georgia, where she's from. And, you know, talked with her about it, and I was like, hey, there's an opportunity. And professionally, I'm a fixer. I go in, I fix big problems, and I love it. I'm the guy that runs to the smoke and to the accident and to the fire.
Yeah.
Because I want to figure out, how can I fix this? How can I help? How can I be of service? And so she had one question. She's like, look, we really want to establish Division I relevancy for the program. I said, okay, got it. And we sat down, we put a 3-year plan together, and here we are 6 years later now, and we've done it, right? But what brought me here was the opportunity and the challenge of taking a mid-major program and really building it into something. Because you can do that if you have all the right things in place. And it doesn't mean you have to have all the money in the world, all the resources in the world. You just need to have the right mindset. You have to build the right culture. People really underestimate the importance of culture. You have to recruit to culture. You have to build to culture. You have to make sure that you don't compromise culture. Because if you do, it doesn't matter how many great athletes, student athletes you have, or at the pro level, how many great pro athletes you have. You're not going to go but so far, right? Because teams are great teams win championships, not great individuals, right? There are a lot of teams that are comprised of a lot of great players, but it's not a great team. And if you have the right team and the right chemistry, the right leadership around the right alignment, which doesn't mean you agree on everything, but when everyone's aligned, you can build something. And that's what we've really been able to do over the last couple years here. Last year, we were coming off arguably our most successful overall year, one of our most successful overall years. 2 coaches of the year, multiple players of the year. Men's basketball won 22 games, most in its our Division I history.
Yeah.
Tim Capello won in men's soccer. Men's soccer won the conference championship and the tournament title. Went to NCAAs for the 2nd time in 4 seasons. And Mary Ritchie's doing an unbelievable job with women's golf. You know, every one of our coaches, they're building it. You know, what Nate Brown and track and field are doing right now is impressive. We've got kids who are competing at a really high level and contending. And that's why I came here. You know, I came here for the kids, for the coaches, to really build something together and do something in a way that's going to make the city proud, the region proud, and the University of California, Riverside really shining a light on its athletics program and putting us in a position where people are like, holy cow, we are unbelievably proud of this program because they are successful in spite of the things that have challenged them, the things that they don't have. We don't worry about what we don't have. We focus on what we have, and we focus on being good stewards of that while we work to get what we need. And then we can go after what we want, right? It's the whole needs and wants, but really making sure the core principles are in place.
Now, how important is it to, get that coach? I mean, you talk about, the successes that you've had, but how important, how close are you with all of your coaches, and how do you guys keep it all the same?
So we're very close. I know with the coaches and the staff, I make it a point to know everyone on our staff and every one of our coaches. The reason that's important is because our culture, we talk about culture a lot, right? So our culture is a culture that's built on inclusivity, and it is built on listening and caring and meeting people where they are to help them get where they need to go or where you want them to be, where they want to be or where you need them to go, right? And the only way that you can know that is if you're going to meet someone where they are, you got to know what's going on in their world. Like in today's day and age, there's, mental health is not just affecting student athletes, it's affecting everybody, right? And that impacts how you perform at work. So if you understand some of the challenges, whether it's mental health, whether it's family, whether it's personal, whether it's whatever the challenge may be for that individual coach or student athlete or whatever, you can work through the challenges once you know the root cause. Because ultimately you want to get everybody to a place where they can be successful. And if you build a culture that's based on that and you allow people to operate if they're in their true authentic self, what I have found is you get maximum productivity, optimal results, and people are happy. And one thing you learn in your career is don't mess with happy. So now we've got a group of people. It's not perfect, Jeff, but people are happy.
Yeah, I mean, it's contagious here.
Yes, and you can feel it. And that's the whole thing for me. You want to be able to feel the vibe, feel the difference, feel how people are engaged, and you perform better, right? And you don't worry. You play the long game. Winning and losing is going to happen. You're going to have up years, you're going to have down years, right? But the consistent theme is the alignment and making sure everybody's in a good place because you can build from there. So our head coaches, we have a head coach text chain. That thing, we fire off text to one another. Sometimes they're encouraging, they're uplifting, they're supportive, and the coaches are all connected. We have 17 teams, 10 head coaches, because track and field, you really have 6 sports rolled into one. So we have 10 head coaches, and our golf and tennis, both of those programs, men and women, have one head coach, director for each. The coaches are supportive of one another. We communicate on text chain all the time. We meet, we talk. My phone is on all the time for them. So I tell them, like, look, my goal as the AD is I never want to be the impediment to progress, right? I have to make sure I'm available for them. Because as an AD, you have 4 main jobs, in my opinion. Coach the coaches, build and develop the staff, grow and mentor your student athletes, and be a great partner to your chancellor, president, and your community, right? And if you do all 4 of those things, coaches can coach, they can recruit, student athletes can be successful in the classroom, they can be successful on the field, the court, the course, the track, whatever their surfaces that they play on. People can be happy, and you can build. But if you don't take care of those 4 things from my end, everybody else is left to their own devices to figure it out. So basically, I have to be like the offensive line and clear the path. I also have to be like the quarterback and get the ball where it needs to go. But I have to make sure they're all in a position that when they get the ball, that they know what to do with it and they can advance everything forward, So I break it down so it's not complicated, and I make sure that they understand. As we go forward, everybody has a job.
Yeah.
Coaches are never successful on their own, and they're never failures on their own. They don't fail on their own. They have to have administrative support. They have to have campus support, and you have to talk all the time. So we communicate a lot. We don't agree on everything, but I'm more than okay with a spirited discussion on things we don't agree on, but we're working toward the same goal. Because then you have the best ideas. And by no means, I fully believe, as an AD, can you be the person who knows everything all the time. You have to listen to your donors, you have to listen to your community, get feedback from your donors, feedback from the community, feedback from the student athletes, the coaches, the staff. and gather information so you can make the best possible decision on anything that comes up. Because without good information, you can't make a good decision.
Now, you guys, the program, I mean, the entire sports program was kind of in limbo for a while. No one knew what was going to, if UCR Athletics was going to continue. How did you bring UCR back to where, it is a thriving organization right now?
Right. Well, thank you, Jeff. But I'll tell you, here's what I found, right? When you have, there are challenges in life. A lot of people don't know, but when I look at everything, I try to keep perspective. And what people may not know is this was not the biggest challenge of my life or my career. The biggest challenge of my life was raising my son by myself, right, with the community that we built around. But for a long time, it was just him and me.
Hey, I was in the same boat with you. We both did the same thing. I
yes,
totally understand it.
And what you find is that you're like, hey, look, this child's, life and well-being is centered on how I operate day to day. So you change accordingly and you adapt accordingly. And when you do that, you learn a lot about yourself. So when I looked at the professional challenge of trying to lead the charge to save the program, because by no means was it a one-person effort, right? We all banded together. But my job was I had to build a strategy. I had to build a strategy, and I had to make sure that as we went forward, that it was never adversarial, with the campus, that it was not, contentious, but it was just telling our story about, you have the education model in athletics in the university side, and you have the business model.
All right, Wes, here's another question for you. You guys have a great setup now with Nike and BSN. How does that all happen?
So we were working on our new apparel deal, or the new shoe and apparel partner. And, it's you have to look at where your program is and what it really needs. And I'll tell you, the partnership with Nike through BSN Sports has been phenomenal for us. It's year one. Obviously, anytime you do a brand transition, you have hiccups here and there, largely due just to the timing, and then you're coming off of the back end of the supply chain issue with COVID and everything else.
Of course.
But now our teams are pretty much in a place where they're fully equipped, fully outfitted, and we've been getting unbelievable compliments on how good the teams look now. That Game Royal color, the new blue that we have, it really pops and it's really phenomenal. And then all the different color combinations that we're doing with the black and gold, the black and white, the blue and gold, all blue, all white, all gold, whatever it may be. And the new brand logos that we did, 3 years ago now, almost 4, when we redid the visual identity with all the new word marks, the UCR lockup, the block letters, the bear head, everything's been great. But Nike, BSN, through BSN Sports, they've been a great partner. And honestly, not for nothing, it does make a difference with recruiting.
Of course it does.
It's like when the kids think about what they want on their feet, and it's not a slight to any of the other brands, but when we did our research and we did the testing in terms of talking to our target demos that the kids were recruiting, and it was overwhelming how many of them wanted Nike on their feet. So and again, it's not anything against the other brands at all, but when we're looking at the next 5 years with this deal, it's definitely put us in a good position from a recruiting standpoint, from a performance standpoint, and just general overall happiness.
Nice. And hey, we need to know something. We know about all the players here at UC Riverside. I can tell you what Will Tattersall wears. I know how many brothers and sisters Zion Pullen had when he was here. What do we not know about Wes Mallette?
That's a great question. I think the fun stuff that people don't know, I was a drummer, and I played drums for about 15 years and then stopped. Played in a couple bands when I lived back east, growing up back on the East Coast. I absolutely love the blues. I love the blues. Love them. It's one of my favorite genres. I like a lot of different genres, but I love the blues. I started playing again about a year ago, so it's been a lot of fun getting back into it. I think everybody knows I'm from Jersey. That's kind of a given. But I don't know if people really understand how much I actually love what I get to do every day. Like Jeff, I love what I do every day. Like, I absolutely love it. I wake up every morning, I'm like, thank you, Lord. Like, I get to do what I love every single day. And the thing I love about it is we're making an impact on the lives of people.
Yeah, exactly.
And initially, it's the kids, right? It's the 18 to 24-year-olds. But it's also the coaches. It's also the staff. And just watching how the donor community here and the city of Riverside have come together around this program, it's a lot of fun. And honestly, not for nothing, I've been talking a lot with Dr. Parker, Micah Parker, AD over at CBU, and we both recognize how important it is for our programs to do really well, but not just because we're trying to win, but because it's good for the city and it's good for the whole community, and having the crosstown showdown rivalry that we have back and forth and that we're building, it's becoming a lot of fun, and there's a lot of energy around it. You want it to be competitive. Like, I don't think it will ever be the blood feud of Ohio State, Michigan,
No.
Yankees, Red Sox, Duke, North Carolina. It's not that.
No.
But it is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And I think it's like just pouring, like when you love something and you really pour into it, man, great things can happen. So I'm just thankful for the opportunity to lead this program for the last 4 years, opportunity to build it. And just, I think people need to know, like, if they don't know anything about me, like outside of, I want a Bernie's Mountain Dog, Valentine, take care of it. I love peanut butter and honey.
Yeah.
I love playing drums, but I really love what I get to do every day here. I mean, it makes a difference, and just to make our university proud, to make our folks proud, oh man. And especially like when we have to navigate all these crazy changes in the NCAA. Well, they're not really crazy. It's what's happening, right? I'm not going to label it. But just figuring out how to navigate all that, there's a lot of people who are leaving the field altogether because it's so crazy in terms of trying to figure out how to do it based on how well you're resourced or not.
Yeah.
For me, I embrace the challenge. I embrace everything. I mean, I'm just one of those people, like I said, I'm up for the challenge. If I could do anything else in life, I probably would have been a firefighter or an action hero,
Ooh,
Like,
action heroes are good.
Action, I think I would fit right between Jason Bourne and John Wick.
All right, and last thing I have to ask you, when all is said and done and Wes Mallette moves on, what do you want to be remembered most for here at UC Riverside?
Oh man, that's a great question. When you talk about legacy, yes, leading the charge to save the program, which is something I wouldn't want any of my AD colleagues to ever have to deal with, let alone have to figure out how to navigate through it. I would say I'd want people to just reflect on the impact and how I was able to lead and what my leadership was like, and that they were better because of it. I think when something I kind of live by professionally, which is when you have, whenever people move on, I want people to move on because it's that opportunity for their next chapter. It's the opportunity for them to grow, right? I want people to move on for those reasons, not because they were miserable, they were unhappy, and it wasn't working out for them. I mean, it's never going to work out for everybody, right? But you want to at least create that environment. I want people to, and I want them to be 10 times better wherever they go because of the experience we had together and because of leadership.
Exactly.
And I want them to be a better leader. So I think for my legacy, it's like I'd want people to be, when they reflect on it, like, that guy really established great culture. People loved being there. They won. They were successful. Academically, they were solid. But more than anything else, we did it the right way. We did it the way it's supposed to be done. And we never compromised our values, our principles, or our culture to just win at all or any cost. And I want them to reflect, and I want them to feel good about the experience that they had under my leadership.
And well, I hope this hasn't been too hard for you, Wes, but it was great. It was great having you on Cruising with the Highlanders as my first guest. We're gonna have coaches, players throughout the whole year. But thank you for being my first guest here.
Well, Jeff, thank you, man. And I'll tell you this: thank you for not only thank you for having me. And I know you're gonna have a lot of fun with our coaches, our student athletes, as they enjoy Cruising with the Highlanders. But also thank you to Moss Brothers. 100 years of excellence, and then we've got several years ahead of us of excellent partnership. I mean, this is fantastic, and I actually really like this car.
Hey,
I really like this Jeep.
I think
really like this Jeep.
we need to go out. Make sure you go out and buy any kind of car from Moss Brothers. What a great organization. And make sure you go out and buy a new car. And make sure it's a nice Jeep Cherokee like this one right here.
This is fantastic. This is great.
All right. Until next time, thanks a lot, Wes.
Thank you, Jeff. This is fun.
Have a great one.
All right.
And we will be back with another rendition of Cruising with the Highlanders back here in another couple weeks. See you then.
Keep chopping.